Hey legends! In this live stream, I'm gonna take you behind the scenes in one of my most viral animation and take you exactly inside of Procreate and show you how I created all of this. To know exactly which one of the animations I created, well, I did a poll on Instagram, and which one it will actually be, well, you'll find that out later on. So here's what we're going to cover in this session. We're gonna start out with an introduction. I'm gonna break down the viral animation and show you which logo I chose. And then I'm gonna answer the #1 question I get asked the most, finally ending off with selecting one winner for the 6-week animation bootcamp. And the most important thing is you need to listen and take or be attentive, because it's going to help you win the prize. So quick little note about me. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Stefan Kunz, and I have been or had the pleasure to work with amazing brands such as Procreate, Nespresso, Porsche, Coca-Cola, and many more, creating these awesome lettering pieces, creating these brand collaborations, drawing on cars, making huge murals, and also being featured on Times Square. And that has been an absolutely big, huge blast for me. But then something happened. I kind of stagnated over a long period of time. I didn't grow on Instagram. I didn't know if lettering was still the thing that I wanted to do. And then somehow on some night, I discovered animation. And this is where it really hit me, because as of the moment when I started to create something and then hit the play button, that's when I saw, whoa, did I just create this? And that feeling stuck with me. Every time I started drawing a couple of things, couple of frames, and then played that back and I saw like the movement that it was creating, it was like, oh, this is something even cooler than just creating stills. And there's no wonder that social media has driven us from still images all the way to creating more video content, because we're just so much more captivated by that. And that was just impressive. And this is why pressing play, that was the moment when I knew it clicked. This was the next thing that I wanted to do. And in only 6 months, I gained over 449,000 followers. This is absolutely unseen for me, and 118 million views. Like, those numbers don't even make sense anymore because they're just too big, and I've never even seen any growth like that. And not just that, one of the things that I've been working myself really hard. In 2020, I even hired a person for YouTube to edit my videos, and I never got to the point when I got, like, in just 1 or 30 days, one of my videos took off and I got this, 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube, and that was insane. But it doesn't just stop here. I actually got something even cooler. Just this week, on Thursday, one of my animation was shown here at the Hamburg train station in Germany. And you see here the beautiful animation that I created that is now shown on every single screen of this train station. And just to show you the whole animation in one go, here it is, 10 seconds, short for Safe Now, a beautiful app. And you can see here, really cool and just something absolutely insane. Now, those are the things that I got to experience thanks to doing YouTube videos and thanks to sharing these animations online. And that has been absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait for me to share how I created these animations and also how I developed these things. And this is why we're going into point #2 already, which is the animation breakdown. Now, which animation am I going to share with you? Well, you guys voted. We had over 300 votes after just a short while, and this is the animation, the Apple logo. And so here it is. This is the animation that we're going to break down, and it's a beautiful animation from different products, beautiful liquids, and then a short run back. And just like that, my computer crashed because all of this was just a little bit too much for my computer to handle. So let's open the presentation mode again. Let's dive in back and then open recent here. I just need to go back to the right presentation. I'll be right in here. There we go. And this is where I left off, and here we go, ready to go. So where and how did I start with this animation? So this is where I want to take you behind the scenes in my iPad process and show you kind of like all the different projects that I create around one single animation. Now, it doesn't just start right away with the beginning where it's like the whole thing, but if I go in here, you'll see that I have this very rough animation. You see it's very stock, like it stops here and there, and it's not very refined, it's not smooth, it's very choppy. And this is kind of okay because I had this idea of having the logo kind of like flip down, kind of you have the laptop in here, and then from that laptop I was like, all right, how can we move things around? And so I decided, you know what, I started just with this single movement here, just this, and then kind of like try that out, transform, play it around, and then here I was like, all right, what do I do from this point on? And so this is kind of where it starts to thinking about how you can move on. And I decided like, all right, let's round this up. And this is kind of when the idea came about, like, what is round? Like, what elements in an Apple product is round? And I felt like the camera, which has been featured a lot, would be perfect. And so here it's a very rough transition to the camera. And I see like, all right, so what happens now? Like I'm moving out of the camera, does the iPhone show? And I'm like, nope, actually it would be cool to transform that into the iMac, which is very colorful, very nice. And so I moved that out and then kind of like, all right, let's have that move around again. And so it went and moved out. This was kind of the first step that I created. But then also one of the key things that I did was, I need to turn off all these reactions. I don't know why they keep on turning on because otherwise we'll have tons of balloons popping up everywhere. So here was one of the super fun little animations that I created here. And I looked at a tutorial on YouTube online and I saw this and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Let me just try that out. I just kept on trying and exploring and applying what I've learned and just trying it out. And this is kind of what I created. I was like, yeah, but I cannot do just that. I need to work out something of myself on my own. And then I kind of combined another thing. So I saw here, like here, this is another one, a liquid fill, but this one was also really cool, kind of like the fill around. And that is what kept me going, kind of like this liquid element here, just turning around, filling up, and playing around with that. That was really something that I started loving and started to exploring, and it was so cool. So this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing. And again, I kind of started from here. Now, as I started to piece things together, I started to also explore here, just like, can I try this out? Like, can I create these little animation inside of the Apple? But that wasn't a direction that I wanted to go. So I went on, and here, this is the final product, the final version. So if we look down in here, so you see this Apple logo, like here it's finalized, it's the final version, and you can see how it goes down, closes off. And then here there's a massive kind of like glass effect that I wanted to create. And it happened by just doing a couple of wobble elements and then disappearing. So in here, you'll see all of these different elements. So here I have the Apple logo on a blue background. Then here I start to have already the person in the background, just creating and adding some hands on top. And I'm trying to keep everything separated because I never know. The only time that I push things together is when I know that it's going to last like that. And usually before I squish things together, I will actually here create a copy of that beforehand. And so here the person actually came into the very, very end. And so I just started to create these round elements and I had to play around with the shape, moving around, figuring out how to transform that. So if we go back into the video, you'll see exactly how this all happened. And so here you can see this is me just playing around with these logos and here just playing around with the rough animation. Then as soon as I started to understand that this is kind of the direction I wanted to go, I explored more and then played around with all these different elements. So trying to place like a person inside and then starting to redraw everything really, really well. So you see here, this is me redrawing the iMac from scratch in my own style and then moving it out, only adding like details at the very end. Here, this is me also tracking everything perfectly. So I wanted to see exactly the movement, not to get any bad transition or distortions. And I started to place all these elements inside, trying out as well like the the reflections here on the iMac, very subtle, and then finally like placing that in. So I went over to the iPhone, kind of pieced all these different pieces together, and here redrawing all the iPhone bits, and here you can see kind of like moving this around. And what I also did is also created these different lines that you barely can see. Let's see if we can see them somewhere. I have actually deleted all these lines. I wish I could have shown you, but these lines here put together. And then finally, one of the last things that I did like here is trying to make sure that one of the most important things when you're doing these transition, these cool transition, is to understand that all these elements need to move smoothly. If you have kind of like a rotation, kind of like a shakiness inside, it's not gonna go well. And so I tried to have all these direction lines going in the same way. And so if I see here, blend frames, add like these onion skins, here you can always see the next frame. Let's change here the last color to a red. So you can see here between these different elements, and it's really nice how they are smooth, how they're rotating, and then bringing that all together. So let's turn this off here, blend off again, reset, perfect. And so here, this was kind of the hardest part, was to get that big iMac in position perfectly and move that out smoothly. Here I can even see that I have 2 frames. This isn't good. I think I actually removed one part, but you see this can happen and you barely would see here. It looks pretty much kind of like it's moving super fast out. So that has an effect as well, but it shouldn't have been in there. So there's a little mistake inside here. And then here with the beautiful element. So I have an object going and flowing out from one side, so it can then rotate and flow in from this side because we're keeping the direction in one smooth line. So that is really important to keep the flow of the movement in the same direction. This is why I actually rotated this entire piece here and flipped it around. So at some point you will see that the logo, this here, you can see this, between this and this, it actually flipped. And so I flipped some pieces and then put that back together. And then here we have kind of like the fast liquid drawback going down again. And so if we play that back again, we see all these different elements. Now, one of the things that I shared with you that I only added really at the end was here, this person, this character that is kind of like pushing down and closing down the laptop. Now, the thing that I had was actually here, a friend of mine drew this face, and it was a beautiful face. And my idea was actually to use it for Pringles version, for the Pringles logo animation. So I had a hand going and grabbing inside of the Pringles can, picking it out, and this is what I wanted. So opening up the can, looking inside, and just as I started doing this, it was just so complex with all the different shadows that I just couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it. I was just at the beginning still of my animation career, and I had a lot to learn. And so I realized that was too complex. But for this part here, none of the shadows change. And so I drew here kind of like the rest of the frame, the torso, and it turned out to be perfect for this animation here. And so you never know when you can use that. Here there's also a little color transition, color transformation. And as this appears really fast, you can see all these elements come together. So this was the idea, starting off with kind of the idea of having the laptop closed. This was a transition of how you go from the logo to something else. And then from there, I was like, all right, let's move on and then find out how to move to this. And then it had to be constructed, had to be thought out and planned out. And so this is what I love about animation. Like, yes, it does take a lot of drawing, going back and forth. And from a drawing perspective, this is one of the most complex elements. But in a 3-day challenge, I showed all of my students that you could actually do all of this without drawing anything. You can take an image, you can take a liquid transition and just do something very simple. It doesn't really take a lot of skills to do that. Plus, by doing it, you get to gain a lot of skills, which is really, really cool. And so I really love that. And so this is how I broke down here the Apple animation. And just for a fun element, let me take you also into another animation that I created, and that was the Nespresso. Here you see a lot of different projects. Here we go. This is the Nespresso animation. And here I could start with just a lot of different things. So first up, here we have all these elements here, the letters that come up. And if I reduce here the frames, you can see that frame by frame. So I have all the letters coming up from the bottom with a small and slight opacity increase, and so they jump up, jump down, And so there's a nice little wave coming in and appearing, which is a simple, very effective way of making something appear. And then from here, we have this transformation, this energy boosting up, and then boosting them up all into different smaller coffee grains, which then is transformed. And it took me so much time to get this rotation right. If I play that back here in the video as well, you'll see at some point. So here, I'm drawing all these different elements. Where is this? Here. You can see kind of like all these beans that I had to figure out how to do. And at some point, I actually had to draw like red lines to understand exactly how to bring them all back together, because that was very complex. And as soon as I did that, I started to break these off really into these small particles and crushed beans that turn into this grounded beans, and that creating the shape that I started to erase and just take out a little bit, making sure that it turns into these beautiful coffee colors that you know and love. And then from here on out, I started to make that drop into this aluminium. So when you have this element down here, it drops into the aluminium. It starts to fill up and then kind of go up. And then just as it goes here, it has this bounce effect and then goes out, transitions into this coffee part. And so here we have the coffee element, and here, this is what I love about animation. You can always add so many more details. You start to see kind of the liquid forming around and spraying it up. And then here you have that droplet falling down as we have a ride-on effect right here, then a hand coming in, taking it out of the frame as you also write out the whole text with a beautiful liquid transition coming out, and then it just looks pretty amazing when you play that all back together. And of course, there are a lot of different elements, and any animation that you create or would create has all these different elements, which is kind of this beautiful part. But that's how you get started, how you create these awesome and fun animations. And so it really goes into all of these awesome details that we look and love. And then of course, making sure that we have those extra bits. So that is a breakdown of 2 simple animations. Of course, I can go into further detail. This is something that I do in my boot camps, where I really dive in deep into really showing all the different layer sections. And you can see kind of like how my layers are all put together. But now I really want to answer the number 1 question that I've been receiving the most. So number 1 question is, how do I start animating? Like, I also want to do this. I want to do what you do, and tell me how I can get started. So I have 3 simple things to tell you about that. And the number 1 thing is start small. It's never great to really tackle something. Like I said, with the person, for the Pringles can animation, I couldn't use that person. I couldn't use that idea. So I had to kind of revert back to something simpler, something easier to do. And the smaller your thing, like I've seen animations that are just 2 frames, like jumping between, like musicians that do kind of like this. And then they play bass and some drums, and it looks really cool. Or like trumpet and bass. I think that's kind of like the thing. And then you have kind of like these 2 movements, and it just rotates between those 2, but it perfectly works. So don't overdo things. Keep it simple. Start small. Number 2 is experiment. One of the things that I have always learned is whenever I'm stuck or whenever I need some new fresh ideas, I kind of like play around. This is kind of where it gets me from one idea to the next idea. I play around, I experiment. Like, I have this idea, why not close the laptop and I try to see if I can visualize it in some way. It doesn't have to be perfect. You saw the sketches that I created at the beginning. They were really, really simple and not too complex. Like if I go back in here and I show you this here, you'll see that like all these sketches, they're not perfect. They're not in proportion. They just have like the logo isn't even perfect. Like this is just a placeholder. And so here you can see this is just an idea and something that you can get started with. So experiment, play around, try new things. And then number 3 is also take classes. One of the things that I've personally learned in this year is that whenever I got stuck, I had to take a class. And so I started buying up different animation classes, learning from other people specific skills, because one of the things that I love about animation, it's super complex. Like you can go in all different fields. Like it doesn't just include lettering, what I used to do, which I'm good at, but it also includes like character, illustration, character design, like walk cycles, movements, all these different things. graphic design, like how to place things inside. And so you can start very simple and keep on learning and moving and adding bits to your skills set and to grow. And this is what I've seen with my student projects or my students that have created these awesome things. And so if it's okay with you, I'd love to share with you a couple of the student projects that my students have created. So here we go. This is Mimi, one of my students. She created this beautiful logo animation for Vita Coco. And you see like here, beautiful wave, island popping up, sun with a coconut, and then boom, beautiful transition with a wave, and the logo appears or the product appears with the claim. Absolutely amazing. Another one is Daniela. Daniela created this Lamy animation for this pen brand in Germany, and it's super simple. Very simple, not too complex, and you don't have to break the bank, drop like everything that you have created. Like it can be very simple and start out really beautifully. And so these are two of the class projects that my students have created, which are so awesome. And not just that, like if we go even further, I have had over 500 students take my classes. And so the success stories, the stories that I've heard that they've shared with me, like there are only a couple of stories that I can share here with you, but if that's okay with you, like I want to share some awesome success stories. So here we have on the left, we have Lisa, and we have on the right, we have Marie, and both students have seen a huge rise with a small amount of followers, seeing like their views like 200x, no, not even 200, 20 times what they usually get, seeing their views just increase, which is absolutely insane. And then another one is, for example, Patricia. Patricia posted this beautiful animation from Aperol Spritz and created this awesome video that she posted on Instagram.
Baby, follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, you with your coca body.
Then posted and said like,
follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, you with your coca body.
This animation is
cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I know go to me go.
Camp. And if I stopped here, that would already be more than enough. And the coolest thing here is really Amy. She just like, I woke up to this email and Amy sent me this. You can see it's 4:25 a.m. And when I woke up, this was one of the first emails. And she said, I got a job because of your animation class. And now this is so awesome just to see how all of them just got there and just create this awesome like library of projects, of new skills that they can use to even get projects in. So it really paid for her own class. And the coolest thing is, how did they get there? Well, they got there because of the 6-week animation bootcamp. And in the 6-week bootcamp, I take my students through session number 1, which is the basics of animation, really going through the 7 principles of animation, what you need to know, what you need to see, and how to make those smooth animation, the kind of small lessons that you need to know just to not do these small mistakes. And then in session number 2, we're looking at the basics of making things appear and disappear with a couple of awesome effects and different effects. And then in session number 3, week 3, this is transition and morphing, how to go from one element to another. I showed you already a couple of things. This is also like a beautiful morph. In session number 4, I show you kind of like the whole process that goes into creating an animation from start to finish, from planning out an idea from a rough draft all the way to the final animation, which you can see here with this Rolex, like all the steps that went into creating something just like that, which is still one of my most popular animation. In week number 5, we're looking at how to create these advanced techniques. For example, making 3D elements turn inside of Procreate. Yes, it's possible to do that. And in session number 6, we're looking at how to create these viral videos. I take you through my process of editing and putting together this video, how you can record it, how you can put all these different elements to share with the world, to get the views, get the recognition for the hard work that you're putting in, because how you present your work makes a huge difference. And so with that, of course, comes the recordings. So you have Zoom sessions where we're doing it live. We have feedback. We have project breakdowns just like this, but even more in detailed. I have a ton of recordings that you then can keep and have lifetime access to, templates that I use all the time for my client projects and all of that. And of course, project files where you get to see my personal projects. And so if you count that all up together, it has a value of $698, which is just around $700 plus like other things that I didn't even count in. But on top of that, I'm going to add 2 bonuses, which is a lifetime access to the animation challenge, which is like 3 awesome animations that you can start with. Also a Procreate Dreams workshops. Now, I've just seen in the comments that somebody asked, like, I wonder if Dreams is going to change any of that. And it might. A couple of things will change, but I see that Procreate is a perfect way to begin animation. Like for me, I'm so happy that I got to start with this because there's Procreate Dreams, there's Procreate Dreams, and there's After Effects. And After Effects is kind of like the super hard, like all these small little things where you can create all these crazy animation, and it's really cool. But you got to get there. I learned how to get there over time, and it's helping me to start small. Like I said, start simple. Don't do over complex things. And Procreate Dreams has some really cool features that I'm exploring. Like I've been hired to work on a commission for Procreate, and I'm getting like I've been working on the app for months now, and so I have a clear understanding on how it works. And I'm so excited to do a workshop. And if you're signing up for the Procreate Bootcamp, you can then learn also how to apply everything you've learned into Procreate Dreams, how to transfer these learnings. But since we have to wait till November 22nd to get started, I want to start early and give you a head start so that before Christmas, you're already in to learn all these different things. Now, we're starting at a price point of $299. So instead of paying $2,000 or $1,000, you're getting it for $299 only today because tomorrow the price is going to increase. You also have a bundle option where if you're new to Procreate, for example, if you're still a beginner, if you haven't used it much, then you want to brush up your skills. You want to make sure that you're ready, and you can take my Ultimate Procreate course first and do the animation bootcamp later because you have lifetime access to all of the recordings. You don't have to do it live with me. That's a possibility, but you don't have to. And so you can start with the Ultimate Procreate course first and then do the rest afterwards. And then finally, I also have a VIP experience where only a limited amount, like small number, can join me on the VIP experience and get like extra sessions to do that. And that's going to be really, really awesome. So I just mentioned it before, but the price is actually going up today, and you definitely don't want to miss this. And so I'm super excited because this is going to be awesome and I cannot wait. And so here we go. Now this is somehow not working. There we go. Now it's working. So sign up. You can sign up today right now at animation.stefankunz.com. The link is also down in the description if you want to go ahead. Again, the price is going to increase from $299 to $399 by tonight. So if you don't want to pay an extra $100, then you can sign up right now. Otherwise, as of tomorrow, if we still have seats, we have a couple of limited seats left, not so many, but now I want to take up some questions. So if you have any questions, let me know. And then at the end, we're going to select a winner for the awesome bootcamp class. So if you haven't purchased it, or if you already have purchased it, you can still participate. And I hope that you paid attention because it's going to be important. So now I'm hearing that we don't have any sound. The sound is constantly crashing. That is not great. So let me see if everything is working. All right, now, if we do not have anything here, what program, Procreate, let's see if we have any questions coming in. I'm still waiting for the chat to go up. Is the iPad Gen 9 64GB good enough for the animation bootcamp? I believe so. The one thing that different iPads do is it will just diminish the amount of layers that you can create inside of Procreate. Now that is possible, but the thing is that you can still create animation. You might have to just create smaller ones to begin with, and it's still a great way to get started. So don't buy necessarily right away a new iPad if you're not sure if you want to do this full time. But if you want to get started, like any iPad with the Apple Pen will work and will do great. So I definitely recommend that. Then next animation bootcamp. So the question is, when is the next animation bootcamp? So this bootcamp, and this is going to be the final one. This has also been a question like, why is this the final animation bootcamp? The reason is, because of the videos going so viral, I've been receiving more and more requests to do work. And right now my inbox is flooding and I don't see an end to it right now. And this is why I want to concentrate on doing a little bit more client work. And so I'm going to put the animation bootcamp on pause, or kind of like close it, because I don't see the time. Like, it takes me 6 weeks to host those. And because I'm kind of like always working on giving feedback to my students, I'm really working full time on these boot camps, doing the most that I can. And so this is why it's taking me so much time, and why I want to focus on just bringing one last amazing bootcamp before ending that. And so we only have one, and starting November 7th, so Tuesday, in a week, so not now, but like in a week, so 9 days, we're starting off, and we're doing every week one session for 2 hours. It's going to be live first on Zoom, and then it's going to be uploaded as a recording onto my course platform, which is Teachable, where you can then rewatch the entire thing. You can even start in a year from now or in 2 years. It doesn't really matter. You can start whenever you want and then come back. And of course, the cool thing about the recordings is you can press pause. You can also double speed. You can go through the bits that like you don't want to watch, or you can just like pause and just really take in all the small elements. Plus, we have subtitles in all different languages. With now new tools, we're able to actually give subtitles in any language. We already got requests for Indonesian, we got requests for Turkish, Portuguese, Spanish, and so many more. And so we're going to add all of these very, very soon. Craig Cohen is asking, what kind of jobs can you get from learning animation? So that's a great question. So the type of jobs that you can get, like I've created this app or this animation for this app. And so that was displayed on all the different kinds. But you got to imagine, you use all these animations for videos, for just interactions. GIFs can be something. You have them on television, like at the end of a video, of a TikTok video. You have them on the website. You have so many options where you can place these animation. And so right now I see that there's a huge need, a huge demand, and not enough people that do it. And that's why it's really important. Cassandra is asking, can we pay with PayPal in parts? So unfortunately with PayPal, it's not possible, but what you can do is email me if you want to do a split payment. That's the only option that I have. And how do you manage the limited amount of layers in Procreate? I believe then you need to use tons of layers. So yes, I do. And one of the things that I've worked around is I create different versions, and then I kind of like put them together. And then if I need to place multiple edits together, I will then create like a timeline and put that into a editing software, which is really simple. It's not too complex. And so that is something that I like to do. Can you have some giveaway? By the way, big fan. Yes, we're going to give away one ticket at the end of this session. And so if there are no longer any questions, I'm going to go ahead and go to the selecting of a winner. And so let's have a clear question. So I created an animation for an app, and the first person who gets to write it out right, knowing which app the name or the name of the app was, gets to win one ticket. So the first person who writes in the name of the app that I created an animation for will win a ticket for the animation bootcamp. And I see that Fernando Mota is asking, for how long will we have access to the course? You'll have lifetime access. So the cool thing about Teachable, and the way I like to do that, is I want to share everything. So, all right, so we have all these different questions. So let me rephrase that, sorry. The animation that I wanted to know, which was the one for the train station, which was showed or shared at the train station. So this is the animation. There we go. Joyce Lemos 1 here. I see your comment in the comment section with Safe Now. That's the name that I was looking for. So congrats, Joyce, for winning one ticket for the animation bootcamp. I'm so excited for you. This is perfect. And yeah, Nikolai said that German company. So again, how long will I have access to all of this? Well, you have indefinitely access, so you can keep the access all the time, which is beautiful. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this session. I'm so excited that you're here. Joyce, please email me at the end of the course, and I cannot wait to see you guys soon. So don't forget, the last chance to actually book the bootcamp, because price is going up today. So if you want to save $100, do it now, and then I'll see you at the end of the course.